بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى. ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. The first of our salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The second in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. The third with your loudest voices in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. There is a request to come as close to the front as you can. There's no space for those coming at the front door. Please come as close as you can. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born an orphan. The position of the orphan within the religion of Islam is of the utmost importance. Indeed, he is not the only prophet of God to be born as an orphan. There have been prophets of God who have come before him who were orphaned at a very young age, highlighting that each and every one of these prophets of God would face the same tests that we may face in our own lifetime. Because when you look around the world today, you find that there are millions of orphans around the world. You find that there are orphans who may come from two particular different social contexts. One group of orphans may emerge because of the fact that there may have been a war-torn environment that preceded them. You find, for example, in countries like Iraq or in countries like Syria, there are many orphans that are there in the world today because of the fact that there was a war in that country. Therefore, there are many who come into this world without, for example, seeing their father, or maybe living for the first few years of their life and not remembering their father. In Iraq, in Syria, in Bosnia, and other places in the 90s, you will find that many came into this world as orphans. Their fathers may have died while their mothers were pregnant. Or you may find that a second social context emerges as to why there may be orphans within a society. And that is that sometimes the family are not able to afford to look after them. So what then happens is that they throw them into a foster home. Or, for example, they leave them on the streets for people to pick them up. What we call in fiqh the status of the laqit. Yes. That child whose mother may, for example, say that, listen, I don't have a husband at home. I have no one to look after me. How am I therefore going to look after my child? So what she will do is she'll leave the child in the street on an evening somewhere in the country, and someone will come and pick up that child. That child may never have met their mother, will never have met their father, And there are many of these in the world today. Yes, there are many in America, for example, who are born as orphans simply because their parents threw them into a foster home. The mom recognized that without a husband in her life, she was not able to fend for herself. The Quran wanted to stress on the importance of the orphan in numerous verses, especially in that period in Mecca and Medina. Why? Because as a Muslim, you should never take for granted the fact that your mother and father are there with you in your life, that you're able to remember memories with your mother and your father throughout your life. Because each and every one of us may have a friend who grew up as an orphan. Yes, each and every one of us may have a friend whose mother died at a young age, he was raised by his father. Whose father died at a young age, he was raised by his mother. And so because of that, it should make us much more empathetic to the plight of the orphan. Sadly, in the Muslim world today, even though there is a reference to their prophet being an orphan, even though there are numerous verses in the Quran about the orphan, you find that many Muslims have never sponsored a single orphan in their life. Yes. They may have spent their money on many other things, but when you tell them, have you sponsored an orphan in Iraq, for example, today, a couple of $100 a month will look after that orphan's life, they'll say to you, no. Say, why? Say, for example, that I've never found the urge or the need to sponsor an orphan. Even though the Holy Prophet himself stressed on numerous occasions, and the Quran stressed that there is no reward that a person gets like the emotional care for an orphan in this world. What's Islam? Islam is not a set of rituals. Islam is when a person recognizes that when you serve the creation, you're serving the Creator. Yes. And that in society is made up of certain groupings which Rasulullah, when he first began to preach the religion, wanted to honor. The widow, those who are needy, and the orphans. These are what make up the religion of Islam. As in the religion of Islam, if now you go and tell the world and they ask you, what's Islam? You say, Islam looks for the social well-being of the needy in the community. It's one of the best descriptions you could give of Islam. If I now say Salah, if I say Saum, I say Hajj, someone says, I don't know what you're talking about. But when you say orphan, everybody relates to the position of the orphan. There are non-Muslim groups who seek to look after the orphan, and there are Muslim groups who seek to look after the orphan. The Quran as well, when discussing the orphan, also wanted to stress on the financial aspect of the orphan. Why? One of the best ways in which you could scam a few buildings in your name as a Muslim is when your nephew or your niece has a father who has just passed away. The best opportunity for you to take the buildings and for you to take their homes is the moment you know that you have a nephew of a brother who's wealthy. That nephew is 6 years of age, 4 years of age. It's the best time for you to steal their building. How many times you see Muslim families who have usurped the wealth of an orphan? Yes. And you find in the Quran, in the Meccan and the Medinian literature, there are numerous discussions about those who usurp the wealth of an orphan. Yes. That there are, until today, many in the community, when you ask him, whose building is that building? He says, it's mine. You say, no, originally, whose is it? It's my brother's, but he died, so we took the kid's building. Yes. The Quran, therefore, wanted to highlight that there is a balance in the way you look at the orphan. There is the emotional and the financial. Many think the financial could be looked after by just throwing money. Yes, here's some money, okay, look after the kids. No. The Quran said there has to be a recognition of the emotional needs of the orphan, but also you have to reflect on whether you have the haram wealth from usurping the wealth of the orphans in your own family. Yes. Therefore, this particular topic was very much related to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. Why? Because whenever you explain Muhammad to the non-Muslims in the world today, many don't know that he was born an orphan. Yes. Many imagine that this was a man who was born, his parents raised him, and he was age 25, got married, then had some job, and then he became a prophet. No, not at all. When you recognize that your prophet was born an orphan, then it should change your attitude to the importance of the orphan in Islam. And that's what Rasulullah wanted to state within his message. Tonight, let's look at the first years of his life as an orphan and seek to understand the position of the orphan within the Quran and the world of the Hadith, in order that we're able to appreciate the difficulties that come with the position of the orphan. Number one, when Surah Al-Duha was revealed, why did Allah remind the Prophet that, did I not find you an orphan and I looked after you? And what was the meaning of, so therefore never ever hurt an orphan? Number two, how much did the Prophet pay to 2 orphans so that he could build Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina? And why did the Muslims try to go past the building of the orphans and not give them any money at all? Number three, what did the Prophet say about the sponsor of an orphan, the tears of an orphan? And what did he say about the one whose hand touches the head of an orphan? And how much did he try and stress on this? Number four, how much emphasis did the Quran have on the fact that you give an orphan their right of inheritance, and that you don't scam an orphan because the orphan is only 6 or 7 when their father dies? Number five, how much stress was there on the orphans when Muhammad saw each one of their family members become an orphan? And number six, on the way to Karbala, which niece of Imam al-Hussein realized that she had become an orphan? And in which way did she realize? Let's examine this and dissect the topic in complete depth. Surah Al-Duha is a wonderful surah for history. Someone asks why. We said the Quran is the best historical source for the biography of the Prophet. Most other biographies are written over 100 years after he died. Of course, them being written over 100 years doesn't deny that there is an isnad chain that takes you back to the Prophet. That there's always going to be an imam who learned from an imam, from an imam, from an imam, who can take you back to Rasulullah. But there's nothing better to tell you about Rasulullah than the Quran. Surah Al-Duha begins talking about the morning, then suddenly talking about the evening, and then saying, "Oh Muhammad, we've never forsaken you, nor will we ever forget you." What does that mean? وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ. Duha is the daybreak. Layl is what? The night. Why does Allah begin talking about the orphan years of the Prophet by mentioning the day and the night? Abu Lahab's wife, Jamil, when revelation would come to the Prophet Muhammad, would get angry. Then there was a period when revelation would not come. See, when Jibreel would come to Rasulullah, sometimes every day there would be a revelation. Sometimes there's a gap of 3-4 days. Then revelation again from Jibreel, then a gap, then revelation again, then a gap. The gap may be 2 days, the gap may be 5 days. There was one occasion at the beginning of his prophethood when the gap went a bit longer. Let's say 10 days have passed, no revelation. Let's say 15 days have passed, no revelation. Abu Lahab's wife, Jamil, straight away, what did she do? She went round to others and she said to them, "It looks like Mudhammam, Satan has left him." She never used to call the Prophet Muhammad. She used to call him Mudhammam. It was an insult to him. She said, "Mudhammam, Satan has left him." They said to her, "What do you mean?" She said, "Has he come to any of you to say that there's been any revelation?" They said to her, "No." So then his Satan who used to inspire him is now gone. She'd never say Allah inspires him. Jamil, I'll come to her in a couple of nights because the Quran mentions her, وَامْرَأَتَهُ حَمَّالَةَ الْحَطَبِ, about Abu Lahab. This Jamil started going round. The Prophet heard the rumors that every day you were getting wahi. Then there were a couple of days you weren't getting any revelation. Then you were getting revelation. Then you weren't getting any revelation. It hurt Rasulullah. There's been a while since Allah communicated to him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had not sent him any messages. When this happened, you found that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was hearing Jamil going around to everyone and saying, "The Satan of Muhammad has left him." All of a sudden, Allah revealed the first verses of Surah Al-Duha. وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. By the daybreak and the night when it covers its full. Why does Allah mention the day and the night at the beginning? Why does He swear by them? It's as if Allah was telling us a metaphor. The day is busy. There's always movement. The night is when everything goes quiet. My revelation to Muhammad sometimes is busy, sometimes it goes quiet. Yes? I'm not just going to keep sending him emails. Have you seen those people who keep forwarding you emails? Yes. Habibi, what do you think I enjoy in your forward, that you forward this to me? Whoever gave you a hint that I was interested in the forward you've sent me? Yes. But the person will send every day, forward. You keep the forward to yourself. Rasulullah, likewise, Allah wouldn't keep forwarding him wahy every day. Yes. Otherwise, if Allah keeps sending him wahy every day, the Muslims would be like, hey, hold on, we're just trying to understand the previous verse. Now give us a break as we understand one ayah after another. Likewise, Allah said, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. By the daybreak, all you Arabs are busy. And the night, you need to rest. My revelation needs a period when it's busy. And my revelation needs a period for you to rest. مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. Your Lord, O Muhammad, never forgets you and never forsakes you. Because what was she telling everyone in Mecca? Muhammad's God has forgotten him. Muhammad's God's forsaken him. The reply was, مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. Your Lord never forgets you. Your Lord never forsakes you. وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. What your Lord promises to give you is something that's going to please you. Do not worry. Then Allah reminds him and reminds others that just in case you forget how I've looked after this prophet, I will remind you. أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى. Did I not find you an orphan, O Muhammad, and I sheltered you? That's when this Jamil is saying to everybody, Muhammad, Satan has left him. I found Muhammad born without a father, and I looked after him. You think now I'll leave him and now I'll forsake him? Rasulullah, who was his mother? Amina bint Wahab, the daughter of Abd Manaf, son of Zuhra. Who was his father? Abdullah, son of Abdul Muttalib. Amina and Abdullah, who arranged for their marriage? Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of Rasulullah. By the way, he done something very interesting. He arranged for the two of them to get married, and on the same day, he also took another wife for himself in nikah. Be careful of the Maulanas on your nikah day. Yes? Especially those Maulanas who recite the Arabic of the nikah wrong. He may have accidentally taken your wife and you think you're married to her. Yes. There was one Maulana who was reciting the nikah. He recited. By the end, we realized that the Arabic had gone all over the place. He had actually taken the guy's wife. Someone went and whispered, listen, Maulana's married your wife. Abdul Muttalib, on the day that Abdullah married Amna, he married the girl who was there, who turned out to be who later on? The mother of Hamza. Yes, Hamza, the uncle of Rasulullah. On that day, what happened was that Abdullah, the father of Rasulullah, he used to go on trade caravans. In the summer, they'd go to Syria. In the winter, they'd go towards Yemen. The Quran mentions, لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشِ إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشِ. أصحاب الإلاف were the ones who used to make trade agreements with Iraq or with Syria or with the Yemen. إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. Their agreements would lead them in the winter to Yemen, in the summer to Syria. You know, in the winter they would go, they'd get coffee, halwa, these things, yes? Yemenis were known for their halwa, known for their coffee. They'd go in those times. Abdul Muttalib, therefore, Abdullah, his son, would go on these trade caravans. They'd go towards the Syrian frontiers. His son never returned while Rasulullah's mum was pregnant with him. Yes. Amina was pregnant. She was expecting her husband to return. The caravan used to come back via what was known as Yathrib, what we call today Medina. Yeah. That caravan returned, Abdullah's not there. She got worried. She said to her father-in-law, where is my husband Abdullah? You know, I'm pregnant and I'm waiting for him. He sent one of his other sons, Harith. He said to him, go look for Abdullah. He went towards Medina and he came back to give them the news that Rasulullah's father had passed away. But that Rasulullah's father had written in his will. And you know, a Muslim has to write a will irrespective of whether death is approaching you or not, because you don't know when your last second is, correct? So you found that he wrote in his will, I leave behind a herd of sheep, 5 camels, and a servant by the name of Ayman. Yes, these are the ones who I leave behind to my wife, Amina. In other words, when the Quran said, أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى, Did we not find you an orphan, O Muhammad, and we sheltered you? What did that mean? First, it meant that he was born as an orphan. Yes. Second, it meant that he bound to have faced tests while born as an orphan. Third, it means that we found you an orphan and we chose people to look after you. Yes. Who did Rasulullah choose to look after him? But Abu Talib, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. Yes. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Abu Talib, the uncle of Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted him to be the one who protects him after Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib first looked after Rasulullah for the first, let's say, 4, 5, 6 years of his life, when his mother Amina had passed away, and then Abu Talib. What did the verse highlight? The verse first highlighted that Rasulullah, even though he was an orphan, while his mother had tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looked after him. Then you had the next verse, أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَأَوْى وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. And he found you. This is what's interesting about Quran translations. Many Quran translations translate this as what? Did we not find you misguided and we guided you? Here's a question mark. Rasulullah, when the Quran says, did we not find you misguided and we guided you, is this an indication that the Holy Prophet was misguided in his youth? Yes. And then Allah guided him? No. What's the translation then? Did we not find you in the middle of misguidance and guided those people through you? Look at the difference. One translation is what? Is that Muhammad was misguided and then Allah guided him. Yes. But the other is what? According to the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt, is that did we not find you in the middle of Jahiliyyah? Yes. Those who are dal, those who are astray, and we guided them through your presence in the community. وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. We found you in need and we gave you wealth through Khadija, of course. Then he gives a statement, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَارْ. As for the orphan, do not hurt the orphan. This began the discussion in the life of Rasulullah on the position of the orphan. Firstly, Allah showed all the Muslims that your Prophet was an orphan. Therefore, that should have a soft heart on your side and on your part towards the orphans of the community. Yes. Secondly, you would find Rasulullah would tell his companions about the importance of the orphan. In which way? When an orphan cries, Allah's hands pick up the tear of the orphan. Yes. What does this mean? Literally or metaphorically? Metaphorically. Allah does not have hands literally. Metaphorically, it means that when an orphan cries, the first who witnesses those tears is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, Rasulullah, what would he say? Me and the sponsor of the orphan are like this in Jannah. Yes. We all want to be in Jannah alongside Rasulullah. Yes. You find that Rasulullah would stress that me and the sponsor of the orphan, we are like this in Jannah. And what is sponsorship? $150 a month, $200 a month. You look after the future of an orphan. It's as if Rasulullah is saying, you do that, you're with me in Jannah. Your Jannah is not how much fasting you pray, how much fasting you do or how much prayers you pray, but how much of a humanitarian you can be in the building of society around you. Thirdly, you would find that the Prophet would say, the arsh of Allah shakes when someone hurts an orphan. Yes. That if an orphan is around you and comes to talk to you, you know that you remember this person, his dad died when he was young. When he comes to talk to you, try and make that extra effort with them. Because that person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sees as someone who never had the love that you had from both sides. You had mom doting on you, dad doting on you. That person's dad died young. He sees everyone else at the graduation with their parents, not him. He sees everyone else on their wedding day with their parents, not him or not her. At that moment, your heart should soften. When the Quran sees someone hurting the orphan emotionally, it came down harsh on that person. In a surah, all of you know, Abu Sufyan saw that on Fridays in Mecca, whoever gave the most food away towards orphans and the needy, their name would be announced by the Kaaba. Everybody would say, Abu Jahl gave the most. Abu Lahab gave the most. Abu Sufyan was envious. How is it that every Friday I'm not getting any mention? These guys are getting a mention. So Abu Sufyan decided that I'm going to make sure that I give the most food away to the orphans on that Friday. Why? Not because he cares about the orphan, but because he wanted that name to be mentioned in the community. There are people who want their name mentioned next to everything in the community. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. You see, sometimes people tell me that, you know, when I want to donate to the community, I just say Banda Khuda, or I just say servant of Allah. Why? Why not say your name? Say, oh, I'm religious, mashallah. No. You say your name, if your niyyah is to encourage others, then there's nothing wrong. Say your name because you may be on a certain level with 4 others. When you can give 10,000 or you can give 100,000, then it should be a kick towards those that you say, listen, we're all on the same level financially. If I can give 10K, you guys can give 10K. Stop being stingy on these issues, yes? Likewise, you found there Abu Sufyan, what was his niyyah? The main niyyah for Abu Sufyan was not encouragement of feeding the orphan. The main niyyah for Abu Sufyan at that time in Arabia, I want my name to be the most known in the community. That I gave the biggest donation. A few days after he had given that food away, one of these young orphans came towards him. Abu Sufyan is not the type of guy who'll chat to this kid or to the lower class of Arabian society. He's an Arabian aristocrat. Him, Walid ibn al-Mughira, Utbah bin Rabi'a, these are the aristocrats of Arabia. This orphan came to him, said to him, Abu Sufyan. He said, yes. He said, a few days ago you fed all of us. Everyone in Mecca is proud of you. He said, okay, what do you want from me? He said, I'm an orphan as well. If there's anything that you can give me, I'll be happy. He pushed him away. He said, get out of here. There's no one looking. Yes. When there's people looking, I'll give you. While there's no one looking, yes, there's no way I'm going to give you anything. I gave because it's a show. People are looking at me, I get praised. Nobody was looking except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين. Subhanallah. Do you see the one who belies the day of judgment? Deen can be religion. Deen can also be qiyamah. Yes. Sometimes Arabic, one word can have number of meanings. In this context is, do you see the one who belies the day of judgment? He used to deny resurrection. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. That's the one who pushes away the orphan. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. Oh, he doesn't even care about the encouragement of feeding the needy. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ. Someone says, why salah next to the feeding of the orphan? Because Islam wanted to show ibadah of me is also serving my creation as well. Hand in hand with each other. A musalli who does not understand salah will not look after an orphan. One who has understood salah will make sure that they sponsor the orphan as well. Abu Sufyan thought no one will notice. The Quran revealed, this is the person yadu'ul yatim. This is not someone to look at for any respect. He only done this as a state of show. And that's why the Prophet would insist any property that belongs to a yatim, I don't want scams happening in my community regarding that property. Yes. I don't want anyone to usurp. I want people to show love towards that orphan. When he was sitting once with Bilal was sitting next to Rasulullah, and this person came and said, Ya Rasulullah, I live with my mom and my sister. We're orphans. My dad died when I was young. Ya Rasulullah, can we sit with you? He said, of course, come sit with me. There's no harm. All of you come. He had his younger sister with him, and he was there and his mom was there. So Rasulullah turned around to Bilal. He said, Bilal, bring us 21 dates. Yes, bring some dates. Meaning, let's welcome them hospitably. So he gave 7 dates to the mom, 7 dates to the boy, 7 dates to the girl. Mu'adh bin Jabal came. When Mu'adh saw this young girl was an orphan, he patted her head. The moment he patted her head, Rasulullah said to him, Mu'adh, do you know what reward you get for patting the hair of an orphan? He said to him, what is it, Ya Rasulullah? He said, for every hair of an orphan that you pat is light for you on the day of judgment. On the day of judgment, all of us will seek the light, correct? We seek in a period of darkness and difficulty and questioning. The touch on the hair of an orphan is that which brings you light on the day of judgment. And that's why when it came towards buying a land for his mosque in Medina, they said to him, a couple of his companions, that there's a mosque, Ya Rasulullah, we want to build. He said, we will build it. The camel sat, they decided where to build it. They said to him, Ya Rasulullah, this mosque, this land belongs to 2 orphans. Shall we go and get it off them? He said, what do you mean get it off them? What do you mean? He said, oh, we could easily get it off them. No one's going to know. He said, so you want us to build our house on haram? The mosque of Allah on haram? Masjid al-Nabawi on haram? Because there are certain people, they don't care who lives in that house. They'll sign a deal under the table to usurp that land. They'll kick the people out of the house. Who cares? I've got another piece of land. I got another piece of land. I got another piece of land. Yes, but have you asked whose house this is? The house belongs to a child. This house belongs to orphans. This house belongs to the needy. Who cares who it belongs to? I need a portfolio. Kick them all out. Rasulullah said, my religion doesn't have people like this. My own mosque in Medina. Who does it belong to that land? They said to him, 2 orphans. What's their names? Sahil and Suhail, the son of Ammar al-Najjari. He said, bring them both here. They came. He said, how much do you 2 want for your land? And don't be afraid, don't be scared. Whatever you want, ask, ask. I don't want a mosque to be built on a land usurped, nor do I want Islam's future to begin in haram. Someone can be a businessman, and he could say that, you know what, we're getting the mosque, and we've threatened a few people. That's how we're building this mosque. We've told people, if you don't get out, we'll export you, because people are a box, you export them. Others will say, no, we'll kick them out of the country, because because you're a Fir'aun on the earth, so you just kick people out. Rasulullah said, Suhail, Sahil, how much do you want for your land? Whatever is the price, I don't mind. You 2 are orphans, whatever you ask. They said to him, Ya Rasulullah, 10 dinar is more than enough for our land. That's it. We don't want anything else. Small piece, 10 dinar. That's it. He said, give them their 10 dinar before we do any building. Nothing. There's no, I'll pay you in 6 months. I'll pay you in 15 years. Now, the full amount. Give. If they set a condition where they say, oh, don't worry, give us in 25 years. You can make a repayment. There's no harm because they've set the condition. Otherwise, no. Don't start playing about with people's feelings. You know what? 6 months. The 6 months comes. No, another 6 months. Another 6 months comes. No, next year. You do a business deal or you're scamming someone. He said to both of them, he said, here is your 10 dinar. Is it been received? Are you happy? You're comfortable? Everything is good? I don't want a mosque built on the feelings of 2 people who've been hurt. They said to him, Ya Rasulullah, we are happy. He said, very well. Now all of you can begin to build the mosque in Medina. See how much emphasis there is on the property of an orphan. That it's not just about you throwing money. Oh, mashallah, I'm sponsoring orphans. It's also about not scamming them, not abusing them, just because they don't have a dad in their life. Doesn't mean that you take advantage of that. Because there are many who will. And that's why the Quran would come down harshly on whom? On those who were known to scam the property of the orphans. Yes, if you look within the Quran, you'll find something unique. The Quran has more verses about the rights of orphans than any religious book in the world today. Any religious book. I ask you, show me any religious book in the world today. They'll tell me the stories of prophets, the history of mankind, certain excellent ethical precepts. But there are no books of religion today that have the verses about ensuring that the wealth of the orphan is not usurped like the Holy Quran. It's very unique because the Holy Quran recognized in Arabia there were scams happening where usurping of the wealth of the orphans was taking place. Because imagine, I'm an Arab, my brother's 50, I'm 52, my brother dies, he's got a child age 9. My brother owns so many properties in Mecca. When my brother dies, and I've seen this by the way in my own life, yes. I've seen cases in the Muslim world which will flabbergast you when it comes to orphans. Flabbergast you. I remember a case which I had to deal with where there is 2 people who are fighting each other. One of them is the uncle, another one was the niece, and they're both fighting each other. The niece says to the uncle, can we have my father's properties, please? He's like, but your father told me to look after them. Said, yes, I know your father told you, but my father's now died, so if I can have my properties back now, you know, we're the kids. It belongs to us. No, but your father, when he was alive, said you look after them. Okay, look after them meaning because he's in a different country and you're in that country, so you're looking after the properties. But now my father's died, please give us back our property. No, but your father told me to look after them. Okay, but Islamically we're his children, so now they're our property. They're not yours. But your father never once mentioned that you transfer them. The Quran says transfer them. No, it becomes a court case and a battle. And this uncle knows very well that his niece, this is her property. Yes, he knows that the niece is the only child. This belongs to the... And then you can work out the inheritance. The Quran in Surah An-Nisa began a series of verses on the economic rights of the orphan. Yes. Why? It's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed the Prophet to be born an orphan because he became a symbol of the rights movement of other orphans. Yes. That Rasulullah was born an orphan, that was now a banner for the rights of other orphans. You look within the Quran, you find subhanallah, the verses in Surah An-Nisa. And all of you, if you ponder over these verses, Surah 4 verse 2, Surah 4 verse 3, Surah 4 verse 10. Look at how many ayahs Allah cares about the economics of an orphan. Surah 4 verse number 2. وَآتُوا الْيَتَامَى أَمْوَالَهُمْ وَلَا تَتَبَدَّلُوا الْخَبِيثَ بِالطَّيِّبِ وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَهُمْ إِلَىٰ أَمْوَالِكُمْ. Listen to these ayahs. Give the orphans their wealth. Simple. You can't get more clear than that. Give the orphan their wealth. وَلَا تَتَبَدَّلُوا الْخَبِيثَ بِالطَّيِّبِ. This is a wonderful ayah. And don't mix the good with the bad of their properties. You see what begins to happen? My nephew, his dad died. So I know his dad owns a penthouse in Manhattan. And he also owns a small garage, for example, in the middle of a village somewhere. Which one's worth more? Penthouse in Manhattan or a small garage somewhere in a village? Penthouse in Manhattan, let's say, it might be worth another 50 million more. Okay? What happens is that what I do is I look at the properties that my brothers left and I see, hold on, there's a penthouse there, there's a village, but I have to give towards the children. The children are 6, 7 years old. So what do? I'll say, okay, I'll give them these garages and I'll take the penthouse. So what do they end up doing? Saying, kids, this is all your properties. Oh, thank you, uncle, you're too kind. 20 years later, the kids come back to look at the will. What do they see was there? A penthouse in Manhattan. Yes. They come back to their uncle. Uncle, what did you do? He said, no, we had a number of properties, so I mixed them. I mixed some, and I mixed for you as well. Quran said, وَلَا تَتَبَدَّلَ الْخَبِيث بِالطَّيِّبِ. Yes. Don't start mixing the good and the bad. Meaning that when you see the inheritance fund, let me give you another example. The uncle, mashallah, the father has left behind a Ferrari, and he left behind this two-wheel bike that will die any second. You have to do a janazah for it, yes? So he's left behind a Ferrari, and he's left this two-wheel bike. This person looks at both of them. He's thinking, you know what? Okay, we'll leave the bikes for the kids, but I did give to the kids. You can't deny. I gave to the kids. Yes, but how about the Ferrari? No, but you know, I also deserve something back as well. Yes. What begins to happen? The Quran says, وَلَا تَتَبَدُّلُوا الْخَبِيثَ بِالطَّيِّبِ وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَهُمْ إِلَىٰ أَمْوَالِكُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ حُوبًا كَبِيرًا. Then later on, the Quran says very clearly, what is the punishment for the ones who do this? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ. Those who eat. Better word, those who devour. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى ظُلْمًا إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا. Yes. Those who eat the wealth of the orphan, those who devour the wealth of the orphan unlawfully will be eating fire on the day of judgment. Yes. This verse is called a verse of transfiguration. It's when Allah literally shows you what your position is. Those who have taken the wealth of their orphans, yes? Their nieces, their nephews, their cousins who they know are orphans. They knew that, listen, these kids don't understand what's going on. There's properties. Let me take the properties. And you know how many will write me emails saying to me that as young kids, our uncles, our whatever, Baba, this dunya is too short. Don't use this money and hurt yourself. Take the money back, the buildings you took from your nieces or from your nephews. Say, here, take it, because it is one of the worst crimes on the Day of Judgment. Those who usurp the wealth of the orphan. You see, many times in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet, firstly, we found you an orphan. Secondly, so whatever you do, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَارْ. As for the orphan, never hurt the orphan. Never. It didn't say hurt the orphan because they're young, or hurt the orphan because they're poor. Never hurt the orphan. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Jibreel, who is that person who hurts that orphan while their parents are below the ground? Tell the one who looks after that orphan, I'll look after him on the Day of Judgment. Yes? What better words could you have? Firstly, Allah is saying, I can see the one who's hurting the orphan. Who is he? Who knows that that child's mom's under the ground or parents on the ground? But secondly, the one who then takes the place and says, no, I'll look after those kids. Don't worry, they're my responsibility. Ana kafil al-yatama. Yes, I will look after the yatim. That person, Allah says, I'll look after him on Qiyamah. Did Allah say, I'll look after you who pray or you who go on Hajj? No. Me, I'll look after the one who looks after the yatim. Because I recognize that this yatim feels a complex when he can't see his dad, can't see his mom or his dad are far away from him, cannot be there and then. Rasulullah's early years were not easy. Everybody else around him as a father, his Abdullah, his father, is not there in his life. And his mother dies a couple of years later. Yes. Therefore, that final message was what? When you are an orphan at a young age, never forget your prophet was one as well. This is a fundamental spiritual message. That there are some who complain, why am I tested like this? What have I done wrong that I never saw my dad, that I never saw my mom? Your prophet never saw his dad. And he is the Habib of Allah. Musa is the Kalim, Ibrahim is the Khalil, Adam is Safwa, Nuh is the Nabi, Muhammad is Habib Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Everybody will be tested on this earth. But some of our tests are wealth, some are health, some are education, some family. They asked Amir al-Mu'mineen about the tests in this life. What did he say? He said, do not say to Allah, Ya Allah, don't test me, for all of you will be tested. Rather say, Ya Allah, do not test me with that which shakes my faith in you. Allah. Subhanallah. Ali ibn Abi Talib. Don't say, don't test me. All of you will be tested. Me, you, all of us. But say, Ya Allah, don't test me with that which shakes my faith in you. Every other test, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As long as you never doubt Allah, then say Alhamdulillah for all the other tests. Yes. Therefore, no doubt, when you want to look at the house of orphans, it's not just Rasulullah. Shortly after he dies, really Al-Muhammad throughout their lives, there's orphans in and around their house. A few months after he dies, after his Fatima is an orphan, you find there are 4 orphans in the house of Zahra. Yes. You have Imam al-Hassan, Imam al-Hussein. How old were they when their mom died? One was 7, the other was 6, according to different narrations. Bibi Zainab was 5. Kulthum was 1.5. Yes. Those were the orphans of Al-Muhammad. But even Bibi Fatima tells Imam Ali before she dies, cry for me, cry for the orphans, but don't forget the stranger of Karbala. Yes. Of all the kids, the stranger of the 10th of Muharram. That's the one I want you to always keep an eye out. That's on the one hand. Then you have, for example, Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. He had these sons with him. And of these sons, some of them when he passed away, someone like Qasim ibn al-Hassan, I don't think was older than 2, 3 when you find that he passed away, when Imam al-Hassan passed. But to tell a child that she's become an orphan, no doubt is the most difficult, yes. And for her to realize she's become an orphan, no doubt, is even more difficult. And that occurred with one particular niece of Abu Abdullah. Who? Hamida, daughter of Muslim bin Aqil. Yes. Because Hamida's final farewell to Muslim was where? It was way before they reached Karbala. He bid farewell to Hamida. And he bid farewell to his other sons as well, Muhammad, Ibrahim. Also he bid farewell to Ahmad, his son who met Mukhtar al-Thaqafi years after Karbala. Ahmad, the son of Muslim bin Aqil. But Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, when the news reached him that Muslim had been thrown from the top of the castle in Kufa, yes? The first thing he did, he told Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam, Inna lillah wa inna alayhi raji'un. She said to him, why? He said to her, Muslim bin Aqil has just been killed. Then he turned around to look for Hamida, the daughter of Muslim bin Aqil. Hamida's mother was who? Ruqayya, sister of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Yes? When he walked towards Hamida, he got closer to her. And the two eyes looked at Hamida's eyes. At the moment that he looked towards her, he patted the head of Hamida. What did we say the patting of the head was? She straight away looked at him. She said, oh my uncle, have I been orphaned now? He said to her, Hamida, my sons are like your brothers and my daughters are like your sisters. She said to him, uncle, have I been orphaned now? He said to her, Hamida, how do you know? She said, uncle, when you tap the head of an orphan, it gives them the indication that they've been orphaned. He said to her, Hamida, inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Your father, Muslim bin Aqil, has just been killed. Do you know who came running to Hamida at this moment? Sukaina bint al-Hussein. Yes. She said to her, Hamida, do not worry. I'll always be there for you. I'll always be there to console you. I ask you, who consoled Sukaina when she saw Abu Abdullah lying on the ground? Yes. When these girls, Hamida and Sukaina and others, when they walked through the streets of Kufa, the ladies were all looking at them. Some were throwing food at these girls, yes? Sukaina naturally was hungry. She wanted to eat. Zainab said, we don't take zakat, yes? Wajib sadaqah is not allowed on the daughters of Al-Muhammad. Then all of a sudden a lady came from far. She came and she called out, I've got some water for all of you. The moment they heard this, Sukaina called out, is that my uncle Abbas who's come? Because he had gone to bring me water. Yes. And then after that, when she came with the water, she said, hey, Sukaina, take some water. You're the youngest. She said to her, I'm not the youngest. Asghar's the youngest. Yes. But where's Asghar now? Yes. She said to her, I'm not the youngest. My 6-month-old baby brother is the youngest. But there's no brother now anymore. The moment the lady introduced herself, what did she say? She said to them, I'm Tawha, the last lady to see Muslim bin Aqil. Tell me, where is Hamida, his daughter? Allah, what does she want to tell her? When Hamida came towards her, Tawha was about to tell her how Muslim died. But it's as if they say that Hamida interrupted her. She said to her, Tawha, before you tell me anything, I want to ask you one thing. When my father fell from the castle, did anyone hold his body as he lay on the ground? When my father fell on the ground, did anyone look after the marks on his body? Well, she could say that, but Sukaina wanted to say more. If no one looked after your father, then did you see my father as he lay on the ground? The arrows all over his body. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. Ya Allah, protect all the orphans around the world, both Muslim and non-Muslim. Ya Allah, raise us with the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of our brothers, unite them on the love of Muhammad and al-Muhammad. Our brothers in Iraq, our brothers in Syria, Ya Allah, bring them peace and prosperity. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the Surah Al-Fatiha. But before it, the loudest of your salawat.